Success Formula with me, Lucy Parsons. Welcome to today's show. Today I've got something really special for you. It's an interview with a mum and a daughter who were founding members of the Extraordinaries Club, and they were members on and off for several years, and they kindly agreed to come on the podcast to talk about their experiences of being members and how the club worked for them. So if you came along to my webinar on Saturday and you're considering signing up for the club, then this is well worth listening to. If the club isn't right for you but you're still interested, it's well worth listening to for some of the things that Erin and Annette share about how they've got through the GCSE and A-level years. There's lots of words of wisdom from them, and they're a family that I hugely respect for the way that they've conducted themselves through these 4 crucial years in young people's education. So I'm going to hand over now to the interview with Erin and Annette. Enjoy. Welcome. Today we've got Erin and Annette, who were founding members of the Extraordinaries Club. Erin has just finished year 13, and they're here today to share with us their experience and their journey with the club. So welcome, Erin and Annette.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello. Hi. It's lovely to have you here. So just to start off, can you tell me what made you decide to join the club and what stage you were at when you did join, if you can remember?
Okay, so quite a long time ago. So I have twin daughters. So Erin's one of a twin, and we were in year 10, wasn't it? So the girls were in year 10, and really things were starting to really gear up around GCSEs. And I saw some of your articles published on Facebook. And one of the things that my husband and I have often reflected on is how when he did, a long time ago now, O-Levels and the equivalent of GCSEs, he was never taught to study or how to take an exam. And I was at a school where actually I was taught some level of study skills and also some exam technique. And actually that made a massive difference for me in terms of the progress that I could make in school. And it was really interesting. He went back and did his GCSE equivalent in English when he was just short of 30. And it was to enable him to go on and do an engineering degree. And the first exam he did, he said, I couldn't finish it. And I said, well, hang on a minute, what about the things like, dividing up the questions by the time you've got according to your scores? And he had never done any of that. So then I looked at what you had on offer, and we got your book. And the things that are on offer with your book are eminently sensible, and you look at it and you think, great, that's not rocket science. But actually, I felt just too close to it all. I knew how to do quite a lot of it, but actually I'm mum. What would mum know?
It's harder to put into practice too if you're just reading it on a book or on a
Erin, can you just come a bit closer to the microphone?
Yeah.
Losing you there.
Yeah, I was just saying how it's a bit more difficult to actually put it into practice if you're just reading on a book. You just read it and think, oh, that's a great idea, or I should do that, but then you never actually sort of get around to doing it. And then so it's taking the theory into practice really that you were really concerned about. Okay, so you joined the club. A lot of people who, like mums and dads who want to join the club, have trouble persuading their young people that it's a good idea. How did you broach the subject with your girls, Annette?
So if we're being quite candid, I had to broach the subject with both girls and my husband, and they were all a bit like, oh yeah, And it was like, no, I think it could help, and it could really add value, and it feels like it makes a huge amount of sense. And for me, some of those things, I believe, help to take the stress out of things. So there's something about applying some of those approaches, which then means actually they can focus on the content because they're less uptight and anxious, and it's organized. So I asked them to come and listen, and just all four of us listen to some of the introductory stuff that you did. And just sit there, all four of us, and do that. And that's what I did to start off with. I don't know whether you've got any comments on it.
Quite a while ago.
Can you remember what you thought when your mum first suggested it?
I think towards the start, I was a bit like, do I really need this? Like, nobody else is using this in school. I don't want, like, I guess, like, special treatment, which it isn't. But yeah. But then I think in year 10, like, I had no idea what I was meant to be doing. And I sort of felt like I was just like swimming in the middle of the ocean, and just like literally had no idea on how to do anything. And I wasn't happy with my like year 10 mocks. So that's so I did that. And you'd also shown us, like, I think the first thing you did was, oh, you need to go and follow this person on Facebook. She's really good. She posts all these tips and stuff. And then we got the book. And then so it was sort of a gradual, like, gradual sort of road into it.
Yeah. So when you joined the club, can you remember how long it took you to really think, yeah, this is all right? I don't mind being part of this.
I think maybe like a couple of, like, 1 or 2 sessions. For me, it wasn't that long, but like for Kim, it was completely different. So I think it depends on the person.
And I think so I had this level of do we really need this? Do we not? Do we? Don't we? You know, because they're both at grammar schools, and therefore have a level of there's some of that is taught, but not to the same level in the same way. So when the three of them, including my husband, said, okay, let's give this a go. What I did do was say, if we're going to do this, we're either all in or we're all out, because we do need to do this together. So what we did do was do the modules together. Yeah. And it took a bit of getting together and persuasion. And we used to sit there on a Saturday morning and say, right, we're going to get breakfast. I'm going to sit here and eat breakfast and do the sessions. And if I'm honest, we probably only ever did the student sessions as a 4, rather than the parents as well. But we did that and did all of the modules, didn't we, together? Yeah. And let you get on with it then, didn't we? Yeah.
How was that experience, Erin, of doing it, like sitting down as a family at a dedicated time to do the module?
I mean, I think if we hadn't have done that, I probably wouldn't have ever done it. I think I'd have probably just put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off. But I think actually making that time was really helpful.
And do you think it was helpful, like, having that forum? Like, did you discuss it as a family rather than just take it in as a single person quite passively?
Yeah, it was nice to have like almost a support system around that, so you could actually discuss it and think things through a bit more, and it will calm you down if things got a bit too stressful. And it was good. And
I remember our conversation, wasn't it, around ambition and dreams, and it's one of the first ones you talk about, Lucy, and what drives you. And it's so I have one daughter who's really, really clear about what they want to do and their roadmap for probably the next few years. And then I have another daughter who is saying, actually, I'm not really sure, but I know I want to do something which is good and interesting. So actually, things like that, because we were doing it as a 4, we had a conversation less about, so what do you want to do and what's your ambition, but more about, okay, so further down the line, what do you envisage yourself living in? What do you envisage your lifestyle to be like? And therefore, what does that mean in terms of, practical things like income? And therefore, how do you work out how to get a job that might give you that level of income? And and we backtracked a bit, didn't we, from that perspective, to align those dreams and those visions, which weren't necessarily about jobs and careers, but an expectation around the life that they wanted, to then anchor it back into, and okay, therefore, you know, GCSEs around certain subjects are probably quite important then, you know, as an example. So that's how it helped, didn't it?
Do you remember that conversation, Erin? And does it still mean something to you today, thinking about?
Yes, I think because like that would give me a lot of anxiety, not knowing what I wanted to do, and I still don't, to be honest. But it's nice to have that sort of like, now I know that I can have that fixed thing in my mind that says, actually, no, this is what you want, this is what you want to get out of life. There are loads of different ways you can get there, but that is what you want. So it's nice to have that sort of reassurance.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so you've told us about how you use the study skills modules in the club and you doing them as a family on Saturday mornings. Can you tell us a bit more about how you use the club in terms of like the coaching calls and the masterclasses and everything that it has to offer?
So I remember there wasn't that many masterclasses when we first joined, was there? So when we first
they kind of started towards the end of that first term, really.
Yeah.
So
we sort of did the calls, and I really liked the calls. Just, I don't know why, it was sort of more of a confidence thing, I guess, like that, and like a reassurance sort of thing.
What did you find reassuring about them, Erin?
That what I was doing was like sort of on the right track, and that if I wasn't, that then I can get advice and stuff like that. And
did you find it helpful hearing that other people were going through the same things as you?
Yeah, because everybody in school, I think they put on like a bit of a front sometimes, where like even if somebody is failing or like not doing very well or like struggling a bit, they'll be like, oh, it's fine, I don't really care, or like, oh, I know, I'm totally doing fine, like, yeah, and then they're like not really, but they're not. So you can feel a bit almost alone because everybody around you either like isn't really that bothered about getting a bad grade, or isn't getting bad, like is doing really well even if they're like not. But
I think in schools there's an awful lot of, well, there's an image to keep up, isn't there? And there's no kind of admitting that you're not sure what you're doing, or that things aren't,
especially in like grammar school, because the like everybody is like it's not good to, well, I say it's not good, like people won't be like nasty to you if you're like not doing well, but actually you want to be doing well, and it can get quite competitive and stuff, and you end up comparing yourself to other people, and you're like, oh, why can't I get that? I'm doing just as much work as they are, and all of this. So it can be quite tough in that sense. So yeah, it's nice to know that you're not alone.
Yeah. So you've really enjoyed the coaching calls. Annette, what about you?
So I found the parent calls really helpful, and I find them helpful from maintaining a perspective. And because actually you can't do this for them. So, and that's the bit you have to learn. Having been through them all myself, GCSEs, or O-Levels in my time, and A-Levels and stuff, been there and done it, and certainly haven't got the set of A-level grades that these pair have got in this sets of results. But because of that, I know the pitfalls and the stuff, where there could be mistakes made and things like that. And the danger is that you polarize into that. And it's really important. And what I found with the parent calls were actually that you could talk about those things and get a perspective and balance back into the situation, and actually to keep the pressure off, because actually they're doing okay and they check in and they're doing the work. So my other daughter took all the tools and techniques and she got on and used them, but she didn't want to join the coaching course, and that was fine. And I didn't really think she bothered very much about them, and it was only when school had put in place some study skills sessions for them, and she said, well, I don't know why they're wasting their money putting those in place, Mum. She said, because Lucy Parsons' stuff is the best. And I thought, oh, crikey. And I hadn't even realised how much she had taken on and adopted in what she was doing. And but they have different styles. And that was important for me to understand and realise, and seeing that amongst other parents, that they have young people and how they all have different styles, and how you cannot do it for them, and also how you can achieve that balance between helping them to do the work and put the work in, but also maintain good well-being. And that's been one of the things that I found really good about the work that you do and the way you promote it. It's not about hothousing young people, it's about getting a healthy individual to be the best that they can be. And that for me is really important.
Oh, I love it that you say that, because I think so many people hear about what I do and they're just like, oh, it's not right to put too much pressure on them. Their mental health is far more important than their academic achievement. And that's not what I stand for at all. And I just get really sad when people make that assumption. I also believe very much that achievement done in the right way contributes positively towards mental health.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know what you think about that, Erin, but
yeah, no, I think absolutely. Like, I think I would be a lot worse off if I hadn't been a part of it, because I would have had, even with the like study session, we had like a study skills day in school, and even with like things like that the school did, like I think that if I hadn't been involved with the like Extraordinaries Club, then my mental health would be a lot worse than it is, like a lot worse, because I would have had no clue what I was doing, and I would have been like I'd be like, well, why can't I do this? Like, I'm trying so hard, and then I would have probably ended up just exhausting myself, because just because it was like I needed to give myself a break, but wasn't recognizing that, because I wanted to get better and better and better.
Yeah, that's really lovely to hear. Thank you. But I know that both of you went to quite a lot of effort with kind of well-being practices yourselves. Could you tell us a little bit about what you did through that time, particularly in year 11, in that respect?
So if I think back, gosh,
well, the thing that really stuck out for me was
the mindfulness. Yes, the mindfulness, wasn't it? And we used to do that together, didn't we, for a period of time? Yes. So
and
we do
other
the
members of the
mindfulness
club, when they heard about that, started doing it as well, and it really helped them. And that was really nice things about that. Yeah.
I think we started doing it in like sort of that year 10 time, didn't we?
Yeah, and then took you through. And then this year has been less, because you haven't really wanted that. You haven't found the headspace. You struggled a bit, haven't you, with that? But this year we've done much more about foot massage and acupressure. So there are spots on your feet which help to reduce the anxiety around your solar plexus. So I literally spent every evening after she had finished studying, sat on the sofa with a pair of feet in front of me, just rubbing feet, because that was the thing that made a difference. Did
it really help, Erin?
Yeah, it was just nice to just relax after I'd studied. You get all wound up thinking, oh my God, I've got an exam tomorrow and I've got all these notes that I don't really know. And you generally do, and you are generally fine, but you just sort of wound yourself up. And it was just nice to just relax.
And Kim, she likes, or my other daughter likes, and a hug. So just going in, laying on the bed with her and giving her a big long hug. That was really important for us. So I made a point of, each day in the morning and in the evening, having a big hug and just feeling good, and because she didn't really want massage in the same way.
I also remember you saying when they were taking their GCSEs that you kind of cleared your social calendar and you were physically present for them while they were studying, so you weren't actively helping them, but it was just this kind of reassuring presence for them. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
So what was interesting, one of the things that the school did, which I found fascinating, because I hadn't really, whilst I probably did the things that they were talking about, hadn't really put it in this used a similar metaphor, and that was around one of the teachers said, you are preparing for an academic marathon when you're preparing for GCSEs or A-Levels. And when you're preparing for a marathon, if you're out on the track, you don't just cram stuff and try your marathon straight away. But what you do is you create conditions for success. So you make sure you're hydrated and that you're fed well and that your diet is maintained throughout. You build up your level of fitness. High-performing athletes create the environment that they're used to around them, so they just get into a zone. So, and he said, so he said, parents, he said, young people laying on a bed with their laptop in front of them is not suitable revision. He said they have to get into a place where they're going to have as the norm the exam hall with a desk in front of them, and they're going to have to get on and sit there and deliver in their exams. He said, so we have to make that happen sooner rather than later. So things around the study environment, things, so not having radios blaring, no TVs blaring, things about nutrition and hydration, and the right space to sit, and so that you feel you can work. All the things around, actually, what does he call it? Academic athletes. Yeah, academic athletes.
Yeah, I heard that phrase quite a lot.
And so I did. So I think they probably would have wanted to stick pins in me by the time because I'd say, come on, girls, academic athletes. Come on, what would you do if you're an athlete? But actually, that led to discussions where, especially over the last 18 months, particularly, but it was even before that for GCSEs, wasn't it? It was around, okay, what are the spaces you like to study in? And we had two of them who needed that space. Yeah. And my other daughter preferred to be in her room, and she wanted, a certain desk and a chair in a certain way. And then you, Erin, liked to study at the dining table, didn't you? And do revision quite a lot at the dining table. And then latterly for your A-Levels, actually, we sort of set aside the lounge for Erin because actually you were doing a lot of studying because of lockdown and things in there. And we just said, actually,
it's just at the end of the lounge.
Yeah, it's just at one end of the lounge. So we did, literally, we gave up those spaces. And it's never forever, is it? It's not forever. But actually, for me, it was really important that they had the space in which they could learn the best. And what I was surprised at was to hear that people didn't create those spaces for people necessarily. And that's something that's, it is a pain. You just think, oh, I'd love to sit down and watch the telly. And we used to go upstairs because we have a TV in our bedroom and watch some TV up there so the girls could get on in their own spaces. And then, like I say, it doesn't last forever. So, those things we did.
I think the other bit that was really useful was not doing anything and not meeting up with people, but we did meet up with people, but not I don't know how to.
Well, we didn't have a busy calendar.
No, we didn't.
We just said actually
took everything out. We were just actually we'll see it after the exams. We'll do this after exams, just because it gave you a bit more time, a bit more headspace to sort of get around. And I don't mean stay at home all the time and don't do anything, because so I went riding every Saturday, and that was my time to just chill, and I'd forget about all exams and everything, and that was really nice and kept me going. But that was nice, and also not going on holiday and stuff like that, because I'd hear about girls in school who were going on holiday in the May half term or Easter, or their parents would be going on holiday and leaving them behind. And I would think, actually, no, couldn't deal with that. I could not.
No, I've just made some resources for the club actually that recommend when you take holidays within the school year in different year groups. So I think that's so important, getting that kind of thing right.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what challenges you faced through the GCSE and A-level years? There's one very notable challenge that everybody has faced in the last couple of years, the P word, but and basically, how did being members of the club help you deal with the challenges that came up for you?
I think firstly the coaching calls were great, because any little thing that I was struggling with, I could just ask about, and that would be fine. And then also hearing other people and other things, it gave me tips on things that I didn't realize actually like I was struggling with, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
I think for me, the big challenge for me is being, as a mum of twins, continually having to accept that they're different. And that's been a lifetime of learning, and you know, from almost the word go, you know, it's been one of those things which has been a great leveler for me. But in that, actually, again, sort of those parent coaching calls, hearing things and thinking, oh yeah, that's like one, but that's like the other, and yeah, okay, and navigating way through two different solutions, because the solutions are not the same for the individuals. And I had to accept that, like I say, my perception of one of my daughters it appeared that she wasn't engaging. Actually, she was, in a very quiet and different way, compared to an Erin who was actively engaging. Actually, it worked well for both of them, but in very different ways. So just for me to understand that, and like I say, a big challenge for me was around just knowing or understanding when actually just to take pressure off, or when to sort of think, actually, maybe you need a little nudge here, and maybe do we need a reminder there, or and also letting them get on with it, because they are capable and they are all able. But actually, again, when you've been through it all yourselves, it's just like, but have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? You know, and so yeah. So for me, it was about enabling them to get on in their own styles and own ways, and taking advantage of what they needed in that.
Yeah, definitely. So you did pause your membership, didn't you, at the end of year 11, but you came back. Tell me about why you came back.
So I think it's combinations. So we came back with the pandemic started.
Towards the end of year 12.
Yeah, it was. So it was, yeah, year 12 March, wasn't it? And part of that then was around actually sort of so for me, your responsiveness to a range of different things that may help in the present and in those circumstances, which made a difference. And alongside that, so those coaching calls, but also then the masterclasses that you had that were then becoming available for the A-level stuff. So some of those, and then the offer of the summer award for you particularly was really helpful, wasn't it, in terms of moving your EPQ on, in the absence of very much around, you know, in terms of support.
When we, in that like summer period when we were like doing remote schooling, our school, it wasn't the best. It was sort of, we would just get emailed work, and that's not a very good way to learn. Like especially with A-level work, you can't, it's really hard to teach yourself, and it was really disheartening, because what was meant to be an hour's work of like copying stuff from the textbook and then doing some questions would take about 3 hours plus, because you were trying to wrap your head around something and then Googling different videos and trying to learn something, and it took a lot of effort, and it was really, really exhausting. So it was just nice to have like, I guess, like an extra support thing there that was helped keep me like motivated and stuff, like with the accountability calls and stuff. It was good, because it was really hard until because our school really wasn't great with the whole pandemic at that point.
Not until the September, was it? But then in the September you continued with the coaching calls, didn't you? When you came back to full-time schooling, and you continued with the coaching calls, didn't you? Because actually that continued to help provide you with support. And again, checking in from a parent's point of view, there were odd times where it was like, actually, yes, it's really difficult at the moment, and just being able to just talk that through and hear that everybody else maybe some ideas around what we could do differently was helpful, wasn't it then? But some of it was just about again that balancing and the focus. I liked, again, the focus. There was a strong focus in the the communications you put out around well-being. There was a very strong and very clear focus on well-being, and that for me was really important, because the bottom line was nobody learns well if they're not feeling good about themselves and feeling well in themselves. So actually that for me was like, actually, yes, let's anchor it back into just feeling good and feeling well, and actually the rest will come, and we just have to just hold on to that, because it will come. But it's just, it won't come if you don't feel good and don't feel well.
Like, straight A's don't really matter if you're not happy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at all.
No, it doesn't.
But on that subject, both you and your sister did really, really well in your EPQs. Can you tell us about how the club helped you with that, Erin?
So the club did most of it. Again, school wasn't really on it with that. I think they probably would have been if it hadn't been because of the pandemic, but because of that, they weren't. Like, we didn't really have any teaching at all, and we were like, oh, okay. So we did I did the summer award in the summer, which was really good, and it sort of got me started a bit, and it was good because I got some of my research done, and had that sort of bit of guidance and just that like boost. And then we did the EPQ masterclass, me and my sister, and that was really helpful because it told us everything that school hadn't. Yeah. So then I actually knew, okay, I need to keep a log, I need to do this, and so I could get on with it without like making sure I was doing stuff that was going to get me the mark that the good grade, because what was the other bit?
I think the big so I think the EPQ masterclass was really helpful in terms of Helen's approach to you can create a great product, but that's actually only 40% of the marks. And actually where people fall down is where they don't use a really strong research base, and where they don't give a good evaluation. And actually just so the EPQ masterclass does not do it for you. You've still got to do all the work, but actually creating a structure and an approach to say, great, you can spend all your energy creating a product, be it an essay or an artifact, but actually if you haven't embedded it in some good research, and if you haven't really looked at the evaluation appropriately, then you're not going to sweep up all of those marks. So from a tactical point of view, which is I think really important, this is all about tactics, isn't it? You can create a fantastic product, but if you're only going to get 40% for it, then goodness me, these poor people need the chance to demonstrate that is good for whatever reason. So that was the bit that made a massive difference, wasn't it? And if I think about the effort you put into then researching more, because you said actually this isn't strong enough in this area.
I didn't have I'd done my project, and that was all done, and I was sort of finishing all the bits I needed to finish and tying it all together, and then I was like, I don't think I've done enough research. I think I need to do some more research, just so it's like okay in the thing. And I mean, it turned out fine because I got an A star, so that was okay.
Really good. But it was that approach, wasn't it? It was that systematic approach. It's the methodology, which I think is, it's back to those core skills and things, isn't it? It's the approach and the methodology. And actually, if you follow those things, then actually that helps also with well-being, because you're being systematic about it, doesn't it? And you're just doing the best that you can, and you can see the benefit that it has, wasn't it?
And there was people in school who I was surprised that didn't get higher, and actually I think that was because they had done a really good like project or essay, but actually hadn't probably backed up, because they're the type of people who would do something really, really well and be well thought through and well researched, but then probably but then they didn't get that mark, maybe because they hadn't done that, which is what was really good, because that was what the masterclass sort of emphasized. school really didn't help at all.
And the standard.
I think what you say about methodology and the structure and the approach, that really underpins everything about the club, is having this kind of just something that you can walk through step by step by step, and it gives you what you need to succeed. And what you say about that just being so helpful for your mental health. I think a lot of people find exams so stressful because it's a guessing game to them. It's like, we've got no idea if we're doing this in the right way. We've got no idea if we've learned the right stuff. We're just going to pitch up in the exam and let's see how it goes. But if you follow the kind of step-by-step approach, you walk into the exam, you know you've got what you need, you know like how to approach it. And well, I remember walking out of exams knowing exactly what mark I'd got, because I knew how the mark schemes work so well that I could count my marks up at the end and leave the room knowing the grade, basically. And you know, that takes out all the guesswork and all that kind of worry and anxiety from the process, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So I don't know if I've kind of asked this question already, but what aspects of the club made the biggest difference to you overall, if you could just summarize that?
I think probably, I really don't know. It's all beneficial in sort of different ways.
All kind of mixes it all kind of mixes together.
Because I say, like, the modules were like really great on giving like that basis and thinking, making it less of a guessing game, thinking, okay, I need to do this. And then the calls were great because it was like a reassurance, and it was fine-tuning that and thinking, actually, this doesn't work for me, but this does. And it was nice to have that. But then like the master classes were like really, well, once I got to A-level, they were, because we didn't really have them at GCSEs, they were really good because they were subject specific. So I could go on and think, okay, that's what I'm doing wrong. That's going to help me revise that subject, because at the end of the day, the subjects are very different and you revise them in different ways. So I did biology, psychology, and geography. And they're all very different revision-wise. Really different. So it was good to have that.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything that you'll take from it for your future, like for the rest of your life, do you think?
Yes, sort of like, again, it's not a guessing game anymore. I know sort of what I need to do when I'm revising and what I need to do to sort of get that and not like exhaust myself out, and things like the Pomodoro method and stuff like that. It's like really helpful, and like all the sort of technique-y stuff will be really helpful.
Brilliant. It's lovely to hear. Okay, just to finish off, what would you say to people who are thinking about signing up for the Extraordinaries Club?
Oh, Erin's nodded at me. Okay, what would I say? So I would say, well, in short, definitely go for it. I would go for it. That aside, I respect the fact that some people will want to be part of it and some people won't, for whatever reason. And I suppose the bit for me is this provided a range of tools and techniques for young people to approach exams in a way which felt systematic and healthy. And so you know, the people that are on the calls and the young people are on the calls are not all about straight A-star people. This is about helping people to be the best they can be, and that isn't necessarily you know, all shining glowing A-stars. This is about wherever they are feeling that they've done the best that they can possibly do and feeling great about it. So I think that's really important, and it's interesting because I've said to people, oh, have a look at Lucy Parsons, or maybe explore this, and some people do and some people don't, and you think, actually, as a parent, I would say go and explore it, because you are giving young people some of the tools and techniques which I don't think they're all given in school, and therefore why not give them those things so that they can apply them and have the best chance possible of showing their potential? And I think that's really important. But like I say, it's always felt as if it's been done from a point of view of really good well-being, health and well-being, both the parents and young people, actually, because the parents coaching calls are helpful. And I didn't do it every one slavishly. I did it and dipped in and out when I needed, and that's fine. And that was really fine too. So yeah, I think that's what I'd say. Go for it.
Yeah. What about you, Erin? If a mum or dad comes to a young person and says, this is what we should be doing, and they're like, not sure, what would you say to them?
I'd say definitely do it. I think one of the things I thought was like, I don't want this to be something that like all the like posh kids do. Like, that sounds really bad, I know, but like I don't want it to be something that's like that I'd get like I don't know. But
I know
really
what you're saying. You didn't want to feel like a fish out of water, did you? And
absolutely. I didn't
environment and
because I remember like kids in like year one having tutoring just because they weren't the top of their class and stuff like that, and that never made sense. So I was like, okay, your parent, like, it's not about, like Mum said, getting like straight A stars, and if you don't, you're really bad. It's about doing the best you can, and actually that was like really, really helpful, because especially again the school like I go to, like everybody wants the A's and A stars, and if you don't, it's like okay, well done, but actually you want to be getting A's and A stars. It's nice to sort of have that there that teaches you sort of what to do, and actually it's okay, like you're doing the best you can. It makes it a bit more but I would also say it'll teach you more than school will, and it'll give you support more than school will, definitely.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and I really hope that's been useful for everybody listening who are considering signing up. I just consider it an honour and a privilege every time somebody signs up, and I'm just so glad to have been alongside you on so much of your school journey. So thank you.
Thank you.
Wasn't that a great conversation with Erin and Annette? I think there's so much for all of us to learn from what they shared, particularly about well-being and the kinds of attitudes and ways they use to manage the difficulties and stresses of the exam years. So I really hope you found that helpful. If after listening to this you have made the decision that you would like to join us inside the Extraordinaries Club, please do come over to the extraordinariesclub.com and follow the instructions on that page where you can sign up and join us, and we will be absolutely delighted to welcome you and to support you on your journey through the GCSE and A-level years. No matter what happens, we're all hoping very much that another pandemic isn't thrown at us, or everything just gets better from the existing pandemic. But as I hope you hear from what Erin and Annette share, I'll be by your side, whatever happens in the coming years. So I really look forward to welcoming you inside the Extraordinaries Club. Just go over to the extraordinariesclub.com and you can sign up there. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day and goodbye.